Vegas is predicting the Florida Panthers to win the series. Does that scare you?
No, it makes it a good investment. I'll go to Bet Rivers right now and put $100 on the Rangers and collect. They won the President's Cup. They had the most points in the NHL, the most wins in the NHL, and the team they just got rid of, Carolina, was the odds-on favorite. It doesn't scare me. It sounds like a good investment.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of 77 WABC Sports Live. I'm your host, Mike Didino. I'm with Sid Rosenberg. Sid, we're down to 2 today. I decided to cut some fat, so who better to cut than James Flippin?
Yeah, that's funny.
Good time for New York sports, right? Mets stink. Yankees coming off a heartbreaker. Knicks also coming off a heartbreaker. But there's one team still that's kind of the talk of New York. That's the New York Rangers. They will open up the Eastern Conference Finals on Wednesday against the Florida Panthers in MSG. What are your expectations heading into that series?
Expectations are a win. My expectations are they're going to win the Cup. I don't care if it's Florida, if it's Edmonton, if it's Dallas. I don't care. Had the chance last week on my radio show to talk to both Mike Keenan and Mark Messier. Messier just yesterday. And look, this is a team that mirrors 1994. Chris Kreider doing a lot of the same things that Mark Messier did in 94. We had Richter then. We've got Shesterkin now. We had Leach then. Not that Box is as good as Leach. He's not. But a lot of similarities between those two teams. Now, Florida's tough. Florida got to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. They're back in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. They've been the best team in hockey since that first-round win over Boston last year. They're owned by a lifelong Ranger fan and New Yorker, Vinny Viola, who, kind of ironic now, he owns Florida. He'll be rooting against the Rangers in this series. But the Rangers should win this series. Florida can skate. They're very, very fast. But skill-wise, power play, penalty kill, nobody like the Rangers. My expectations are they win the Cup.
Does it concern you that the Rangers are underdogs in this series? Now, when the series opened, the Rangers were an even. It was a pick-em. So if you put $100 on the Rangers, you'd win $100 back. Now, if you bet the series, you put $100 on the Rangers, you win $122 back. That means Vegas is predicting the Florida Panthers to win the series. Does that scare you?
No, it makes it a good investment. I'll go to Bet Rivers right now and put $100 on the Rangers and collect. Look, the Rangers are also underdogs to win the East. They won the President's Cup. They had the most points in the NHL, the most wins in the NHL, and the team they just got rid of, Carolina, was the odds-on favorite. So the Rangers proved that the favorite doesn't always win because they just got rid of the favorite in their last series. So to me, it doesn't scare me. It sounds like a good investment on Bet Rivers.
Also worth mentioning that the Rangers were big underdogs against the Hurricanes as well. If you had to predict Rangers in 6, Rangers in 7, Rangers in 5, what are you taking?
I think this goes 7. I do think that it's going to take a win at MSG to win the series.
All right, let's move over to the NBA. Knicks, they lose I guess you could call it a heartbreaker on Sunday. Now, they never really were even in the game. Pacers kind of dominated from start to finish. Pacers actually set the NBA record for field goal percentage in a game. Whatever, we know. The Knicks, they were banged up. It was probably too much. Brunson fractured his hand. It was really over. You lost Anunoby. Hart was banged up. The whole team was banged up. But moving forward, are you confident in the Knicks to build a team around Brunson and maybe make a run at an NBA title?
Yeah, I am. I think that Tom Thibodeau did a great job this year. The Knicks showed more grit and more guts this season than any team I can remember for a long time. The fact is they were just too beat up. They had a 3-2 lead, a 2-0 lead. It fell apart, but only because they were too hurt. And by the way, Indiana is a good basketball team.
They are.
Halliburton can score, Siakam can score, Turner can score, McConnell is a beast coming off the bench. He's a beast. So that's a very good basketball team. There's nothing to be embarrassed about here. In fact, I think Indiana is going to play Boston tougher, not win, but play them tougher than people think. For the Knicks, great season. It really was. It would have been phenomenal if they would have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals and won an NBA championship, but totally unrealistic with the injuries that mounted during the playoffs. They showed a lot of gut. I think next year they should this offseason, bring in another good offensive player, make a deal, maybe Julius Randle, maybe Mitchell Robinson, I don't know. But I think the Knicks are one talented offensive player away from a real shot at the NBA title.
A few names Knicks fans could look at, maybe a Mikal Bridges, join that Villanova
That'll
squad.
never happen. The Nets won't do it to the Knicks. Brooklyn won't help New York City.
Kevin Durant, maybe?
I
Like
mean,
Devin
Durant,
Booker, maybe?
what is Devin Booker is one that Knicks fans would love. Look, any one of those
Donovan
guys
Mitchell.
make the Knicks better overnight, no doubt about it. Any one of those guys. So if you can get one of those guys to enter this roster, you're in good shape.
The conference finals in the NBA starts tonight. Celtics 10-point favorites over the Pacers. They're actually minus 1,100 to win the series. That means $110 wins 10 back. So Celtics massive favorites over to the Western Conference. That seems like that's going to be a really fun series to watch. Timberwolves and Mavericks. You got to pick in that series.
Well, Dallas
Timberwolves
right now
slight
is
favorites.
enjoying a great winter, right? I mean, we kept talking about, wow, Rangers and Knicks. Dallas has it. The Stars are in the Western Conference Finals in the NHL, taking on Edmonton, and the Mavericks are in the Western Conference Finals in the NBA. So Dallas, the home of the Cowboys, I don't know about the Cowboys, but their NHL and NBA teams are having a great season. And I think Dallas is really good. I think right now that 1-2 punch of Doncic and Kyrie Irving, as good as any team in basketball. They're very athletic. They get the ball up very, very quickly. Now, Minnesota's great. Edwards, maybe the best, maybe one of the 3 or 4 best players in the NBA at this point. He's really good. They just beat the Denver Nuggets, the reigning champs, on the road in a Game 7. This is a big-time series, but I still like Dallas. I think Doncic and Irving find a way to get this one done. I would take the Mavericks in that series.
I'll take Dallas in that series as well, so you should probably put everything you own in the Timberwolves. Over to baseball, the Mets, they're a disgrace, right? What can you say about the Mets at this point? 21-26. Blanked again last night. They scored just run. If you just look up and down the batting average, I mean, Francisco Lindor hitting 193, still has 8 years left in his contract. How bad is that contract on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's bad. It's a 10. I told you this in March. I've told you this in April. They're not a good team. There was a while they used to think they were a good team. They're not a good team. And they're not hitting. That's the most surprising. See, I thought the Mets would be bad this year because they can't pitch.
Agreed.
It's been the complete opposite. The pitching has been a pleasant surprise. They can't hit. And what bothers me is their best one producer in years, in a long time, Pete Alonso. He's struggling, hitting about 230. I believe the Mets will trade him because they're not going to sign him. Kovic's not going to give him the money he wants. Somebody will. So I do think that Pete Alonso will become a casualty for the Mets. And I think moving forward, he's the right guy to help build around. So you're going to have another bad year. That's 2 years in a row. You'll probably lose your number 1 home run RBI guy in Alonso. Things in Queens right now not looking very good. I don't know what the over-under was the beginning of the year, but you folks who took the under on Bet Rivers, you're in pretty good shape.
Well, the live over-under right now is 80 games for the Mets, and the Mets are plus 245 to make the playoffs. I think you'd have to be on drugs to take that bet right now. I mean, we're talking about watch the games. The Mets are not making the playoffs.
No.
They don't hit. They don't pitch that well. Their rotation's been a pleasant surprise, but it's looking like it's going to be a disaster for the Mets. One more question about them. Edwin Diaz, he struggled. He's got a 5.5 ERA now this season, 7 earned runs in his last 4 appearances. He's got 5 blown saves. Do you maybe try to move Diaz?
Yeah, why not? I mean, look, he missed all of last year. He came back this year, got off to a great start. He was lights out again. They're playing the trumpet. Here we go. We got our guy back. And to your point, he has been awful. I mean, awful.
How does that even happen?
I don't know, but if you're a team that's not going to contend for wins and a team that's not going to make the playoffs, then you start to consider trading just about everybody. I really can't name one guy on this Met team right now, not one that I would say is not untradeable. I would say Alonso. I think the Mets disagree, so I think the Mets are thinking everybody is for sale.
Over to the Yankees. Best record in the American League, 33-16. Joe Beningo, he said on your radio show today, best team in the MLB. Do you agree?
I do, and they're doing all this without Garrett Cole. How scary
Really
is that?
special.
You're talking about the reigning Cy Young Award winner who hasn't thrown a pitch yet this season. These other guys have stepped up in a big, big way, and they're mashing the ball. Look, if they stay healthy, you got Stanton. He's hitting a bunch of home runs. He's an MVP guy. You got Judge, who many people think after Ohtani is the best player in baseball. He had a very, very slow start. He's been red hot up to 13 home runs already, just 3 behind Gunnar Henderson for the league lead. Soto's not even hot yet. I mean, he's played okay, but when Soto gets hot, Verdugo's knocking in runs almost every night. Trevino's come back and made a contribution. Now, Clay Holmes did blow it last night, but that's been the rarity, not the norm. Yankees are really good. Right now, a 2-game lead over Baltimore, or else it's over. Tampa Bay's 8 back. The Blue Jays and Red Sox, they're done. So the Yankees are going to have a tough time disposing of Baltimore quickly, but eventually I believe they will. I do think the Yankees are the best team in baseball.
Holmes allowed 4 earned runs last night, Monday night, in a loss. He allowed 0 runs entering the game. You mentioned Shohei Ohtani. Actually skipped over this story. We'll go back to it now. Did you hear about David Fletcher, former Angels infielder, is now he's under MLB investigation for using the same bookie as Ohtani's interpreter, Epi. Listen, you said about a month ago you said Ohtani was guilty. MLB, whatever, swept it under the rug. Now you're telling me that Ohtani's close friend, David Fletcher, now is using the same bookie as Epi. I don't know. Stars are starting to line for me. For me, it's hard to believe that Ohtani's best friend and interpreter were both gambling, and he had no idea. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
No, I feel the same way. And look, the interpreter's taking the bullet. That's it. Right now, he said, I stole $17 million. It went from $4 million to $17 million.
And not to mention the story changed when it all happened.
No, I understand. I get it.
There's too many things going on for me here.
But the one thing I will say is he must be a sociopath then, because it ain't bothering him. All this stuff. Right now, he's leading the league in hitting. He's leading the league in hits. He's tied for 4th in the majors. He's got 13 home runs right there with Aaron Judge. Right now, he's staring at an early Triple Crown win. So if he is guilty, he's clearly a psychopath because it's not bothering him. And either way, Ohtani has proven to be a great player already for the Dodgers.
Quickly, last thing on baseball. Dodgers right now the favorites to win the World Series, plus 280. Atlanta right behind them at plus 480. Philly third, plus 850 in the NL. Of those 3 teams, who would you pick if you had to place a bet to win the World Series?
Well, if I'm going to bet, I'm going to bet the Phillies. Okay. Because you get better odds with them than Atlanta or the Dodgers.
They're the best record in the league right now.
Best record in the league. They went to the World Series 2 years ago. They were good last year. So this team has some World Series experience. And again, when you're on Bet Rivers, any of these sites, you want to make sure you can get a good kick for your dollar, right? So it's easy to take the Dodgers. It's easy to take the Braves. If I could take a first-place team 2 years removed from the World Series and get that price, my money goes to the Phillies.
Not to mention
I do think the Dodgers are better, but I would go with the Phillies.
Also, not to mention Zach Wheeler, maybe the best pitcher in baseball right now. Just another guy the Mets let walk for nothing. So just another bad move by the New York Mets. Last but not least, we'll go to football quickly here. Over-unders came out. But we're just going to do the Jets and Giants just for New York-related reasons. If you had to guess what the New York Jets over-under for wins is this season, what would you guess it is?
I have not looked at this. I swear to God, if I had to guess, I'd say 11.5.
9.5.
Oh, you got to go over. Now, look, again, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt 4 plays into the season last year. This year, they start the season with Tyrod Taylor, a little better than Zach Wilson as your backup quarterback, the former Giant. But if it's 9.5, assuming Rodgers stays healthy, way over.
You got to pay the big is minus 142 in that one. But then if Rodgers is healthy with Rodgers, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, an improved offensive line, and a top 7, maybe top 5 defense.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a 10.
And I like that wide receiver they took 2 out of Western Kentucky.
Yeah, Steve Smith, the Carolina Panthers receiver, he does scouting for a living now. He said that he's like his breakout receiver. So we'll see. Hopefully that works out for the Jets. Over for the Giants, if you had to guess what the over-under is.
I'm going to go with 7.5.
6.5. And it's plus 122.
Yeah, look.
Not going to be a good season for the Giants, according to the books.
No, it's not. But, what do you get from Daniel Jones? He barely played last year. There were all kinds of rumors the Giants wanted to trade up and draft a quarterback this year, specifically Drake May, who went to New England out of North Carolina. So I don't know. Barkley's gone, but now you brought in Neighbors, the big-time wide receiver out of LSU. The front 7 is actually pretty decent, and you could have a very, very big year, very, very big year from Thibodeau. He could be that guy.
He's going to probably be their X factor in defense,
yes,
too.
They also lost 2 pretty prominent members of their secondary. I would say over Jets 9.5, and I'm going to go under Giants. I think the Giants go 5-12. I
think I agree with you on both, which once again, just take the opposite. You'll probably do pretty well. All right, everybody, we appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in once again. Once again, it's the 77 WABC Sports Live podcast. I'm your host, Mike Didino, with Sid Rosenberg, and we'll be back next Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in.